Hello everybody, welcome along to the final weekend in the 2019 Formula Renault Eurocup. And there, as you can see, the light is starting to fade here at the Yas Marina Circuit. It's the first time the championship has been to this circuit. It's only the second time the Formula Renault Eurocup has ever ventured outside of Europe. The only other time was back 13 years ago in 2006. When the championship had a round in Istanbul in Turkey. But we are here now for the decisive weekend in what's been a fantastic season so far in the Formula Renault Eurocup. My name's Chris Hartley, and we had qualifying earlier on today, and what an important qualifying session it was, because the top two in the championship, Oscar Piastri from Australia and Victor Martins from France, arrive here with just 13.5 points between them. So getting on pole position, absolutely critical. There is the number one car of Oscar Piastri. That was him in qualifying this morning. And although in the free practice sessions he'd been trailing Victor Martins, there he is, Victor, in the number 11 MP Motorsport car. Well, it got much closer in qualifying. A big effort, big push from Victor Martins, you can see coming out of the final turn. And by 0.02 of a second, he managed to take his 8th pole position of the season. And who's behind him on the grid? Of course, none other than that man, Oscar Piastri. Just 0.02 of a second between them. Victor Martins almost matched his very best lap as well. In his second run, he was just a couple of thousandths adrift, so the pace is very much there, but the gap has been coming down. Oscar Piastri, though, going into this weekend with his nose in front in the championship, his second season of the Formula Renault Eurocup. The same is true of Victor Martins, who was competitive and a race winner last year, switched teams to MP Motorsport this year, but continues to be one of the drivers backed by the Renault Sport Academy for young drivers, hence the yellow and black colour scheme. RSGP are the French team who have already wrapped up this year's team's title and who are looking to take Oscar Piastri to his first Drivers' Championship. The driver that came up a couple of seasons ago from a very good pedigree in the British Formula 4 Championship, got onto the podium several times in what was his first full season of the Formula Renault Eurocup last year, to finish in the top 10 in the championship. So the equations, there are many of them, but it could be wrapped up at the end of this first race of the weekend. It could well go down to round 20 of the championship tomorrow. So by the time we get racing underway, the light will have almost faded. Bearing in mind as well that the light from the TV cameras make it seem much lighter than it realistically is. Out here, looking out the window in Abu Dhabi and the Yas Marina Circuit, it is pretty much night time now in terms of the light available, but of course floodlit circuit this, and the drivers got their first chance to experience driving under the floodlights in the second free practice session yesterday. It's actually run a little bit later than we're having this race. It was about an hour later. The track temperature cooled, which made the cars potentially quicker, less heat for the engines and the carburetor systems to deal with, and the drivers indeed to deal with as well. But a little bit of moisture then comes in the air as the light starts to fade and the temperatures start to drop. They're over low here in Yas Marina, but during the day, yesterday in free practice, it was pushing 40 degrees. So we can hear now from Antoine Gao down on the grid.
Hello, here we are in Abu Dhabi for the first night starting grid on the history of Formula Renault. I'm with Tony Boutet, after-sales director of Renault Middle East Pacific. Tony, what does it represent to welcome Formula Renault and Renault Sport Series in Abu Dhabi?
Renault Sport Series for us is the second opportunity to connect people and motorsport in the region. It is also a great opportunity for us to enhance Renault Sport performance and the brand in the region where people are passionate and love sports car and motorsport.
Definitely, it's the best symbol we can bring here, a Grand Series car, Megane RS, as a safety car for the meeting.
It is the iconic Megane RS. We are happy to see it here and hoping to see it again next year.
Okay, thank you very much, Tony.
Thanks very much, Antoine. Thanks to Tony as well, speaking to us down on the grid. And yes, indeed, the Megane RS is going to be, as ever, the safety car for us here for the two races. Also got a Renault 5 Turbo in the paddock here this weekend, and a collection of cars from the Abu Dhabi Classic Car Museum, which have been brought along and attracted a lot of attention down in the paddock. It's a wonderful venue, this, rather than having sort of offices that aren't that exciting. You have villas here in the paddock where the teams get a base and the organisers get a base as well. The grandstands are absolutely huge here. They can seat over 40,000 people just in the grandstands alone. And it's almost 10 years now since this circuit opened. It's a Herman Tilke designed track. It was opened and unveiled on the 30th of October 2009, the final round of that year's Formula One Grand Prix, which Sebastian Vettel went on to win back when he was a Red Bull driver in Formula One. So there is Victor Martins, who will be looking to emulate so many drivers that have gone on to success, gone on to become Formula One drivers, having moved on through the Formula Renault Eurocup. He's second in the championship. He's had 5 wins this season. That's his 8th career pole position. 12 podiums as well, so he's been hugely consistent this year. And over the last 6 races in Barcelona, Hockenheim, and before that at the Hungaroring, he's managed to claw back 39 points on the championship leader Oscar Piastri. He scored 125 points to Oscar's 86, but as I said in qualifying this morning, last time out Oscar managed to extend his advantage, because although generally it's been going in favour of Victor Martins, he had a very strong second place finish in race 2 at Hockenheim a couple of weeks ago. The gap was down at 1 point to 5.5 points. Half points because the race at one of the races at the Hungaroring was shortened after just 4 laps, and only half points awarded. Victor Martins won that race. Rather than scoring 25 points, he scored 12.5 points, which would have been slightly frustrating to him. Slight relief to Oscar Piastri, who'd gone off under very wet conditions, having hit a puddle on the outlap, so he didn't score any points there, but he did bounce back rather well the day after at the Hungaroring to take his race victory. That was the last time we saw Oscar on the top step of the podium, but he has been super consistent in terms of the podiums that he's scored and the points that he's been bagging so far this year. So they are the top 2 on the grid. Alexander Smollier comes into the weekend 3rd in the championship. He's 50 points behind the championship leader, and there are still 50 points available, with 25 for each of the race victories. However, even if he were to win, and Oscar Piastri were to score 0 points, and Victor Martins were to have a bad weekend as well, he'd only be able to tie with Oscar Piastri on points. He's only had 3 race wins this year, whereas Oscar has had 6. So even if he won both races and scored the same amount of points, he'd have 1 less win, and on count back of most wins, he would be able to win the championship. But Alexander Smollier having a good qualifying session this morning. First visit to the circuit for him. There are, though, 10 drivers on the grid that have been here before, either in the UAE Formula 4 Championship, in which some of them competed before they came up to Formula Renault Eurocup, or indeed, like Oscar Piastri, having done some tests here in the past in a GP3 car. So you have seen the top 4 on the grid: Victor Martins, Oscar Piastri, Lorenzo Colombo starts 3rd, Alexander Smollier starts 4th, and they're 5th on the grid. Sebastian Fernandez was actually 3rd quickest in last night's second free practice session, and got pretty close to the times. I think he and the team were slightly disappointed that he wasn't able to get a little bit higher up the grid than 5th, but a good effort for the driver that races under a Spanish licence, but is indeed from Venezuela, from Caracas, the 19-year-old, having stepped up from Italian Formula 4, winner in the UAE Formula 4 Championship as well. Somebody that's really shone this year, having come up through the British Formula 3 Championship last year, is the Indian driver Kush Maini, younger brother Arjun Maini, who's a great racing driver himself, and Kush is 2nd in points in terms of the rookies in this year's championship, and 6th overall. Colette, the Brazilian driver, 4th in the standings, has already done enough to wrap up the Rookie Cup for this season. Going well here. And loving driving at night. He said to me yesterday, driving under the lights here is like being in a video game. He absolutely loved it. He starts on the 3rd row of the grid. Matteo Nannini there, number 15, starting 7th on the grid for this race. Nannini was quick in one of the practice sessions yesterday as well, last night. The top 3. He's last year's UAE F4 champion and been 4 times a winner here at the Yas Marina Circuit, so has some circuit knowledge here. Alongside him there, Gudil, a Belgian driver in the number 18 car, will also share that 4th row of the grid. Gudil, last year's Spanish Formula 4 champion, and again another driver that has won here at Yas Marina in Formula 4. Frank Bird having a good qualifying session. It's his 2nd season of the championship. He switched to the Arden team for this year, and Frank qualifying in the top 10 here. We'll start 9th on the grid in the number 32 car. And of Paul Bird, who runs Paul Bird Motorsports, who just last weekend had huge success in the British Superbike Championship with their BY's Ducati team, taking first and second in the Riders' Championship with Scott Redding and Josh Brooks. So huge congratulations to them. Frank can have a good point-scoring weekend here. His teammate's going to be starting alongside him, Patrick Pasma, who is a driver that, again, has come up with single-seater experience in Formula 4 cars. He competed the Finn in the British F4 Championship for a couple of seasons last year and the year before with Arden, so he's got consistency in terms of the team. Stays with the British team for this first season of the Formula Renault Eurocup. A couple of wins last year, to 6th place in British F4. And the 19-year-old will be there, completing the top 10 on the grid. Right, the car's setting off, most of them, onto the formation lap, but we got a bit of drama, I'm afraid, down there on the grid. And stuck so far, not able to get the car underway, is Frank Bird. So the number 32 car is stuck on its grid space for now. Hopefully they're going to be able to get that fired up, but it's a fear. Looks like it might be a pit lane start because everybody else has got underway. You might be able to start at the back of the grid, but it just depends if they can get it fired up. So huge frustration there for Frank after a good qualifying performance. And yes, unfortunately, they're pushing the car off the grid, so there'll be a gap 9th on the grid. So hopefully the team can retrieve this and get him somewhere to the race from the pit lane. So that is the way they are going to line up. The R graphic denotes rookie driver, so rookies, 3 of them in the top 8, Kashmini, Matteo Nannini and Omri Deal, starting 6th, 7th and 8th position. Incidentally, the gap between the top 2 and the rest of them was pretty huge in qualifying. Victor Martins and Oscar Piastri were split by just 0.02 of a second, but there was nearly half a second gap back then to Lorenzo Colombo, the Italian 3 times a race winner this year, who starts 3rd on the grid. But then it got pretty condensed. There were several drivers all within half a tenth of a second of each other. So the lap time for pole position was a 2:08.324. It's actually not the quickest lap we've had this weekend. That came yesterday from Victor Martins, who's topped all of the practice sessions times so far this weekend. And is really, as he said to me yesterday, just focusing on taking this one step at a time, trying to get pole position, trying to win the race, trying to do the same tomorrow, not thinking about the points. Almost impossible, I would suggest, to have that completely out of your head as a racing driver in this situation. This is huge for these two. Lots of pressures that they put on themselves, lots of pressures to please the sponsors and the supporters, to repay all the work that the team and the family and the effort that's gone into this. And it boils down, essentially, all our hopes and dreams to what happens over these next 2 races. As ever, it will be a 30 minutes plus 1 lap race. We'll have a separate qualifying and separate race tomorrow. Oscar Piastri with a chance to wrap up the championship today, but of course he's starting behind Victor Martins. 49th season of Formula Renault. This first season, though, for these new FR19 cars. Powerful 1.8 litre turbocharged engines that they have, 270 brake horsepower, and they only weigh 609 kilograms. Running this year as well for the first time on Hankook tyres. So the cars making their way under the floodlights towards the grid. This 5.5 kilometre long lap. It's an anti-clockwise circuit. That's another challenge for the drivers who are used to, on most circuits, going in a clockwise direction. So they'll be using neck muscles they didn't know they had for this race. The heat is still very much a factor as well, and you have to stay absolutely concentrated and be fluid around what is a lap which comprises 21 separate corners, some big long straights, some fast flowing corners, chicanes, hairpins, and a sequence at the end of the lap where lots of tight corners run into one another, and you've got to get them absolutely precise to get the fast lap time. So we're all set to go. Round 19 of the Formula Renault Eurocup. Chris Hartley trackside here in Abu Dhabi, this fantastic facility, the Yas Marina Circuit, We're about, for the first time this weekend, to get racing underway. The green flag is waved at the back of the grid. To the left of your picture, Victor Martins. To the right, Oscar Piastri, the two championship protagonists. And we are racing here at Yas Marina. Looks like a good start for Lorenzo Colombo in the number 12 car just behind. He's trying to weave and get in between these two. Piastri's got the best start of all, though. And it's Oscar Piastri that's going to lead. Colombo in second, and from pole position down to third place, Victor Martins. Smollier tucks in behind as they go through turn one in fourth place. It looks like everybody that made the start got well underway, and they charge then flat out now through turn two in this Yas Marina Circuit, and down already through 3 and 4, and there we go, the leader Oscar Piastri with the perfect start here. Victor Martins will be fuming with himself. He didn't make a terrible start, but it was a very, very good start from the other two. They'll make their way then onto this long straight over 1.1 kilometres using some of the runoff area there as they make their way out onto this long run down towards turn 8 and turn 9. A left-right chicane coming up. You've got to get that right as well, because there's a long straight, rather a long sweeping arcing bend coming up after this. It's almost a straight, but they do go through the bridge and carry speed. So Victor Martins there in the number 11 car on the back foot a little bit after that start, just trying to get his rhythm back here. The Frenchman knows he's been quickest in all the sessions so far, but they have been catching him up in terms of the gap coming down. Piastri will be absolutely delighted to be leading the way here, and he's trying to make the most of this while the others fight behind. Mine with a good start as well, just behind in 5th place. And look at this 3 abreast here as Caio Collet tries to come up the inside, but it's going to be the number 18 car of Cordial which fends him off. Then Patrick Pasma, Brazilian, and the other yellow and black machine, different team to Victor Martins, but they're both academy drivers with Renault, hence the colour scheme. Had a big look at the inside there, but wasn't quite able to find his way through. Charged through the mid-pack as well. And the multicoloured car, the pink and blue on it, of Lucas Aleko Roy back in the championship through turns 18 and 19 then as they go under the Yas Hotel here. This is, every driver I've spoken to this weekend, this is their favourite part of the course. It's not the fastest turn, not the fastest sequence of corners, but they have really tested under the brakes there and out of turn 21 to complete the first lap of the race, with Oscar Piastri in the number 1 car, the RHGP runner in the lead. The MP Motorsport duo then follow, but Colombo with a big gap now back to his teammate Victor Martins in 3rd place, 4th place for Smollier, 5th place for Miney as he went through. Good start for him as well. Sebastian Fernandez just behind in 6th place, following his every move in the number 33 car, the red and white machine with the green wing mirrors. So he goes through. Frank Bird on track, it seems, looking at the timing screen. We haven't seen him on the pictures, but he is on the track. So 19th place ahead of Xavier Dovaras, the Spaniard. So he's gained 1 place. Out onto the back straight they go. 0.83 of a second the advantage for Oscar Piastri at the end of that first lap. But into the pits already, I'm afraid, is Leonardo Lorandi. So Lorandi, who was on pole position at Spa earlier this season with early dramas, so he'll drop to the back of the field, but gets back out on track to try and salvage something from this race. There is Lorenzo Colombo then, currently 6th, top 6 in the championship, but are we going to get potentially a safety car here? There are double waved yellows at the moment, and Pat coming through there, Victor Martins in 3rd place. There's the reason for the drama. So Yovaras didn't come through, and presumably then that is his car. Yes, number 72. So Xavier Yovaras, I'm afraid, has had a spin and is off the circuit, but is in a bit of a precarious position. So safety car is, it seems, going to be deployed to try and remove that car, and that will be a huge frustration to the race leader, Oscar Piastri, having had this mega start, got the lead of the race, and he pulled around about a second clear of Lorenzo Colombo and even further ahead of his championship rival. Right, replay of the start then, as they all thundered off the line pretty well, pretty good start. Yeah, Victor Martins just bogged a little. It wasn't a terrible start, but that combined with very good starts from the other two made it look, I think, worse than it was. So Piastri getting into the lead by the time they made turn 1. There's the safety car then. The Renault Megane ready to pick them up. So as it stands, Oscar Piastri is in the lead. He's going to pick up 25 points. He's going to move on to 308 points 15 points headed the way of Victor Martins if he stays in third place, and it's very early days in this race. So it would be 308 for Piastri, it would be 284.5 for Victor Martins. So it'd be 23.5 points behind, with only 25 points still available. If Oscar Piastri can extend his championship lead to 26 points or more by the end of this race, then he could potentially wrap up the championship. So if he finishes first, with Martins fourth or lower, he'll be the champion. As it stands, with Martins in third place, Martins is doing enough to stay in contention, but I don't think he'll want to just stay in contention. I don't think he'll want to go into that last race tomorrow with a near impossible task. He knows he needs to take some points away here from a big rival, and at the very least, get into second place and get ahead of fellow MP Motorsport car of Lorenzo Colombo. So a real shame for Yovras there, whose race lasted less than a lap, the 19-year-old. Competed in the Renault Eurocup last year with Adrian Valle's team, the AVF team, but he only did the first half of the season. His best result last year, a 14th place finish at Spa. He did a part season in the Renault Eurocup 2017 as well. Driving excellent karting pedigree at the Spanish National Championship and the FIA International Karting as well, before he went on to race in Spanish F4. One of his teammates this weekend, incidentally, in the one of the new teams on the grid for this year, the Global Racing Services team, the GRS team, is the German driver, number 73, Matthias Leuten, who is having his first ever race this weekend in the Formula Renault Eurocup. He's only ever had a couple of races. He's done some testing in a very old spec Formula Renault car, which had about 100 brake horsepower less than this. But the German driver wanted to challenge himself, wanted to see if he could compete at the top level. He's coming into this completely open-eyed. He knows he's going to be at the back of the field. He knows he's not going to be matching the drivers that have been in this competition for a season or more, but he's just trying to get as close as he can to their pace. And over the course of the weekend, he's already got 4 seconds a lap quicker. So for Matthias, a big learning curve this. He's in the number 73 car, but he's not in last place at the moment, and he's gaining huge experience here. So for somebody that only started racing and actually driving single-seaters 3 months ago, the German driver doing an excellent job here. And just ahead of him, another driver in that team with a backstory is Alessio Deleda, the Italian, in the number 71 car, who has a background in motorcycle racing, in 600 Supersport racing. So we're getting ready to get the action back underway here at the Yas Marina Circuit. 30-minute plus 1 lap race. The safety car interruption mercifully short. And Oscar Piastri building up the speed now as the green flags wave and we get back up to speed. And Oscar with a terrific restart here. He's not going to be under any pressure at all into turn 1. Martins isn't exactly close enough to show his nose at the inside of Colombo either, so he's going to be frustrated and stay in third place at the moment. Smolnia just off him in 4th place going through, then Miney, then Fernandez 5th and 6th. They don't change on the restart as they make their way through this right-left sequence at turns 3 and 4, then down towards the first of the chicanes here at the Yas Marina Circuit. Another good gap coming down now between 2nd and 3rd. Victor Martins, who's pulled off some pretty spectacular moves this season, is starting to show his nose because he can see his championship rival getting away. Out of this hairpin, you've got to get an excellent run because you are full throttle for a very long time then, going past the grandstands and down towards the chicane at turn 8 and turn 9. You will pick up a toe, you will pick up a slipstream, though a couple of drivers have said they don't think it will be as much as hot conditions. So let's see if he's close enough. I don't think he is he? Victor Martins is going to have to tuck back in behind Colombo here. Colombo, yes, is his teammate, but it's every driver for himself really in this championship. They're all trying to prove themselves and move up the motorsport international ladder. So staying in 2nd place for now, Colombo. The gap widening all the time though, and Victor Martins knows it. So can he find a way through on this lap? He does now look the quicker of the two. As I say, he was nearly half a second quicker in qualifying. Smolnia, Miney, Fernandez come through next, then Cordial, who has still got the 31 car shadowing him of Patrick Pasma, the Finnish driver. But nobody making a move yet. All eyes then on Victor Martins, who goes over the curbs there, gets a little bit ragged. Starting to push now. Can he stay calm and focused here? There must be immense pressure starting to build on him as they go flat out through that beautiful sequence at turns 15 and 16. You can watch from the Yas Hotel here, which they're about to go underneath this whole final sector of the lap. So out through turn 17, 18 and 19 under the hotel towards turn 20 now, and then quick squirt on the throttle in towards the final turn, which is almost a 90-degree right-hander. Turn 21, which leads you back onto the start-finish straight. Accelerating away then. Miney just getting a little bit out of shape on the curbs there, just losing the back end. Remember, the tyres are under huge pressure here with the heat that we've got over 30 degrees, where they have been holding up very well. Lots of drivers taking the opportunity in what was a busy day yesterday of several hours of free practice in the morning, and then 2 further 50-minute free practice sessions. One yesterday afternoon and one last night, just wanted to get used to racing under the floodlights, and they got the opportunity to see how the tyres would last under these conditions and at this heat, and they did a good job. And there we go, Colombo leaves the door wide open, and through into second place goes Victor Martins. So Martins through at the hairpin, but he's got probably 1.7, 1.8 seconds to find now to try and close that gap to Piastri. So Colombo, I think, realised that his teammate there is trying to go for this championship, didn't make life too difficult, and the door was left ajar. He'll now try and stick with Victor Martins and see if he can hold on to him for 2 reasons. One, see if they can work together to try and catch Piastri. The other reason, he needs to try and stay ahead of the Russian driver, Alexander Smolya. He's had a very, very strong season in this championship. Much improved this season for Alex compared to his first season in the championship. And a race winner as well the first weekend at Monza. At Monaco he was a race winner, and he was a race winner last time out at Hockenheim. So some good drives through from the back of the field a couple of times as well, has Smolya. So he's looking pretty racy in the S&P colours, the Russian Driver Academy. Blue, white and red machine, number 3 car charging through. He's another driver that switched teams for his second season of Formula Renault Eurocup with the RHGP squad, which is a 4-car squad this weekend and this season, as has been MP Motorsport, 2 teams that were battling for the Teams and Drivers Championship title last year. Victor Martins pulling away now from the 12 car of Colombo. He's unable to shake off Smolya though for this final place on the podium. They have though managed to pull away both of them from Kushmini, who's having his work cut out here to keep Fernandez behind him in the first of the Arden cars. Frank Bird in 17th place now. Can he make his way up the order? You can see the graphic showing the one change that has been on that lap, and that significant change that we had for second place. So 2.19 seconds to try and close up in the remaining 17.5 minutes plus 1 lap of this race. Victor Martins is going to have to almost drive every lap like a qualifying lap now to catch Piastri, but well, he was 2,000ths of a second quicker in qualifying. If he's only 2,000ths of a second a lap quicker in the race, it's going to take him forever and a day to catch up to the Australian. Equally though, Oscar has got to stay focused here, and in some ways he has the harder job here. Yes, he's the leader, but he has got nobody to follow, he's got no target to aim for, and all the pressure is on him, so he's just got to drive that car flawlessly now. Pressure, not look in the mirrors too much, just keep doing what he's doing, because it has been going well, and he's got closer and closer to Victor Martins' pace all the way through the weekend. And Alexander Smolya working hard to try and get himself up onto the podium. To do so, it would be his 11th podium of the season. He'd actually have more podiums than Oscar Piastri, but he hasn't had as many wins. He should be good for 3rd in the championship. He could move up to 2nd in the championship if the results went his way. Just looking behind as well, as with the green mirrors, the red and white car of Fernandez, the Venezuelan, getting close and having a look at the inside there on the black and orange car of Kushmini, but Miney able to give him a bay for now. Bit of a queue starting to form up though. Doing a very good job though, first time for him racing here, having had a background in Italian Formula 4, and then, as I say, 3rd in the BRDC British Formula 3 Championship last year. Race with Rockingham, which sadly is no more. Circuit now defunct in the UK, demolished, but one of the last ever race winners there. Kush in the number 41 car, working hard again to keep behind him Fernandez, and it's pretty close inside the top 10 as well. Miney in 5th place, Fernandez 6th, they're together. Cordil and then just behind him Pasma 7th and 8th, and to a point Nannini in 9th place, all close together as well. And in fact into 9th place now has come Caio Collet, the Brazilian driver, who was up there in free practice but struggled a bit in the qualifying session this morning. Out of the top 10 he was, but he's back into the top 10 back into the points now in the number 2 car. Caio Collet gaining a place. Nannini down to 10th position. And just outside the points at the moment, currently running in 11th place is the number 53 Bitech car on Petra. Petacek has been a Hankook Trophy winner, as in he's won one of the rookie races this year. Collet has by far had the most wins rookie category this year, 9 of them. Miney's had a couple. Vieira's had a couple. Alex Quinn, even though he only did a few race weekends, had a couple as well. Alex here this weekend supporting Arden. And there is the number 2 car of Caio Collet then, and he looks like he's got the bit between his teeth here, having moved up a couple of places in this race already, into 9th place on the previous lap. He's got a bit of a gap in front of him now to try and bridge, but that means he'll not be held up by traffic, and be interesting to see if he's able to close that gap rapidly. About the gap between the top 2. It's starting to trickle down, 2.18 seconds. There's the number 18 car of Cordeel, just taking the inside line, I think more to defend rather than to attack, because he's not that close to Fernandez ahead. He's a bit more worried about Patrick Pasma just behind him in the 31 Arden car. But, Patrick in turn has got to keep an eye on the mirrors with Caio Collet, the Brazilian driver, seemingly on a bit of a charge here and looking to make good progress. Still looking for his first win of the season. He's had all these rookie wins. He hasn't had an overall race win yet. Just 17 years of age from Brazil. Talent spotted by Nicolas Todt, son of Jean Todt, and managed by him. And only in his 2nd season of car racing, having won last year's French Formula 4 Championship. He also had a number of races in the Formula 4 UAE Championship, so he's familiar with the Yas Marina Circuit. He won here, in fact. 1 win came at this circuit. So there in the background, the number 2 car, you can see he's starting to catch them up. The RHGP run car of the Renault Sport Academy driver. Starting to bunch up there. Miney having a better lap here in comparison to the 33 car of Fernandez. He's just pulled himself a length or so clear now. Not under quite so much pressure at this juncture. The gap from 1st to 2nd, 2.13 seconds. So it is coming down, but it's bit by bit here. It's going the right way for Martins, and he's still got time. Just under 13 minutes plus the 1 lap that gets added on once the time runs out. So whatever lap the time runs out on, we'll complete that and then have 1 more at the end of it. Testing in these conditions for these drivers. Getting out of the car, and they are absolutely dripping wet. They head straight for the refrigerators, which they've got in the garage. They're keeping all their drinks refrigerated. Cold towels as well. Strip out of their race suits as quickly as they can to try and dissipate some of the heat. And in Victor Martin's case yesterday, he was even filling up what can only be described as a bin with icy cold water, and hopping into that and making himself a makeshift ice bath, which was pretty useful. Now look at this in the background, because Patrick Pasma is finally bored of sitting behind the number 18 car of Emery Cordeel and gets through at the inside. It's a good move that from the Finn. So through he goes and into 7th place, and he's tidy on the exit. Watch for Caio Collet as well, who's looking to pick up the pieces here, because Cordeel has been stung there and he's trying to get his rhythm back. Collet's trying to pounce one and strike while the iron is hot. He's got the better run here as they come through towards the end of the lap. He's going to have a look at the inside there, but the line is covered and Cordeel fends him off on the way through this final sector. So through the left-hander under the Yas Hotel they go at turn 18 through turn 19. Not really an opportunity to overtake through the last 2 turns at 20 and 21, but he can get a good run over the start-finish line. He might fancy his chances of a look into turn 1, especially if Cordeel keeps running off the road like that in the number 18 car. So he's ragged, and there he's lost the place already. So he's maybe starting to struggle with his tyres. The number 18 car trying to come back at Collet though, and right behind them as well you've got Matteo Nannini. So these 3 together, but Collet gets the job done. It all began for him a couple of corners earlier, and look at the gap suddenly that Pasma has. Well, they've been fighting each other. Pasma's almost out of the picture, like in the 31 car. So he's 7th now, Collet 8th, down 2 places on that lap to 9th place has gone Cordeel. Nannini is the final driver in the points at the moment, scoring a single point for 10th place. The orange and white number 15 car with the green wing mirrors there. And trying to catch him up in the black and gold car is Petacek. A lock-up just behind for Gregoire Saucet, the Swiss driver in the RHGP car, the white, black and red car. Very easy to lock up at the end of the lap here, particularly to turn 17. I was noticing yesterday. That's because they approach it, still turning the car, still at an angle, coming out of the very quick right-hander at turn 16. Under 2 seconds now is the gap. Victor Martins can see his target. He's got it down from over 2.5 seconds to 1.86 seconds now. It's hard work though, this. Every corner he's just trying to wrestle a few centimetres back, trying to regain a few thousandths of a second. It's going down to the wire if it stays like this. The last 3 seasons the championship has gone down to the final weekend of the season. That was Lando Norris, who's done quite well for himself since Formula Renault Eurocup. He was the last driver to win before the final weekend of the season back in 2016. Of course, the star for McLaren in Formula 1, the British driver. So if it stays like this, 25 points come in the way of Oscar Piastri, 18 points for second come in the way of Victor Martins. It will be 308 for Piastri, 287.5 for Martins. 21.5 points behind with 25 available. Oh, look, getting very ragged out there now. Some of the drivers taking to the curbs and pushing hard, but I'll tell you what, this battle's still raging on between Miney and Fernandez. Some laps Miney pulls away, others he's clawed back in. The net result, though, is that they've been within a car length of each other pretty much all the way through the race here. These two battling over 5th and 6th positions. Terrific stuff between them. Miney has been extremely impressive on his way to 6th in the championship. One and only outright podium, actually came in the very first race of the season at Monza. He's had 2 rookie wins, had lots of top 6 finishes, point scoring finishes as well. Been one of the consistent drivers this year, only a handful of races where he hasn't finished in the top 10. Learning a new car, many new circuits as well. He's got to watch the mirrors now though, because on that back straight he's under huge pressure suddenly from Fernandez. The Venezuelan is right with him in the 33 car, pulls out of the slipstream and now goes on the attack. He's got his nose in front, he's just got to make sure he slows the car down and doesn't go too deep into the corner, but he's got the job done. Terrific move that, and so change for 5th place after what probably feels like an eternity of sat behind Miney. He's finally got through, so into 5th place he goes. Miney in the 41 car down to 6th position. Spread out in terms of 2nd, 3rd and 4th. There's the new 5th place car of Fernandez. 6th place for Miney now. Got a bit of breathing space before to start worrying about another Arden car. That might come though, because Patrick Pasma has certainly pulled away since he pulled off his move on Cordeal a couple of laps ago. He's had a clear track and he's got some good pace here, the Finn. So he might be one to watch next. There he is, flashing through shot, closing the gap. They come through that, whip through that right-hander. Fantastic to watch as they come through turns 15 and 16. Slow the car right down for turn 17. Try not to lock up. And then turn left and left again as you go under the Yas Hotel, which looks absolutely resplendent when it's all lit up at night. Wonderful area as well. Got a lot of tourists here still at this time of year as well. Ferrari World, which boasts the world's fastest roller coaster, just a stone's throw from the circuit. Do 149 miles an hour in a roller coaster, 240 kilometres an hour. This is the place to come, Ferrari World. We've got a huge park here as well, another theme park, a watermelon theme park, Yas Marina Circuit, man-made island, which was created back in the 06. Huge development still going on here as they continue to improve and invest in the Yas Island and the marina. Not many paddocks where you can walk out the back of the paddock and see some fantastic yachts out in the marina, glistening in the sunshine. Right, 1.5 seconds, so the gap continues to come down between Piastri and Martins. It's taken him, what, 6 laps just to get a second back. He's got another 1.5 seconds to get back, and then he's got to try and find a way past to get into the lead of the race. If he could do it, it would be huge. But the closer he gets, the more pressure will start to mount on Oscar Piastri. He hasn't got enough to deal with this weekend. Huge pressure on both drivers, both looking to win the championship. The only two that can still take the 2019 Formula Renault Eurocup title. Round 19 of 20. 5.5 minutes to go, plus 1 lap. Patrick Pasma is bringing company because he's bringing Kyle Collette with him there in the number 2 car. They're both catching Miney now for the final spot in the top 6. And the pair of them look quicker than Miney at this stage of the race. He's suddenly 3 or 4 lengths back, if not more now, on the driver that overtook him just a couple of laps ago. Fernandez in the 33 car in 5th place. Fernandez actually started to go after Alexander Smollier as well, trying to get himself up into 4th place if he can. So gap still coming down in and amongst the point scorers. Further back from the pit lane start, Frank Bird progressed up to 16th place now, but it doesn't look, I'm afraid, as if it's going to be the points score which he might have hoped for after that qualifying position. But he knows the pace is good. He gets another chance tomorrow. Race results don't give you the grid for tomorrow's race. It's a fresh qualifying tomorrow. We're going to have even more heat to deal with tomorrow, because tomorrow's race is in the afternoon rather than in the evening. 9 o'clock till 9:20 in the morning here, local time for qualifying. Just a few hours break, and then at 1:30, right in the heat of the day, they'll be going into battle for the 20th and final round of the championship. And these two will, it looks like, be going into it still both with a chance of the title. Piastri at the moment is taking a further 7 points away from his big title rival. A huge bonus given that he started behind him on the grid. Going to grow the gap from 13.5 points to 20.5 points as it stands. 25 still available. Martins is going to take this into the final round if he stays like this, but he desperately, after all this work, love a chance at the end of the race to try and have a go at Oscar Piastri. 1.42 seconds is coming down and down, but it's only by tiny fractions. There's nothing between these two. They've been the class of the field all weekend long. Further back, we've got a battle here between Cordial and Nannini for 9th place. Cordial is just half a second, or he was half a second clear. I think he's less than that now. They're battle for 9th place. 2 seconds behind them is Spatacek out of the points in 11th position. In the background, keep an eye on them because he's getting close. I don't think it's going to be a move there, but it might be coming. Let's just drop back now from Pasma. So Pasma's free to go and have an attack on the black and orange car of Miney there, the yellow wing mirrors. The Indian driver being pursued by the Finn, then the Brazilian, and then this battle between the Belgian and the Italian coming through. Under the Yas Hotel they go to this final sector, which is the sector, even though it's the slowest of the sectors in terms of the corner speeds, the one you've absolutely got to nail. If you get one corner wrong, Alex Smollier said to me yesterday, you get 3 or 4 wrong. You've really got to be precise through here and have a car underneath you. But you know it's going to be glued to the road. It's going to turn in when you want it to turn in, and that precise fraction of a second. But 1.3 seconds, the gap has come down. He has tried everything here to close the gap. He's got it down from, 2.8 seconds at one point down to 1.3 seconds. He's chipping and chipping and chipping away, but he's running out of time, Victor Martins. Just over 2 minutes left to go. But the closer he gets, the easier, in a sense, it will become, because A, more pressure on Piastri, and B, he'll start to pick up a bit of a toe as well. And he'll start to be able to show his nose and really assert himself here. So it's not going to be an easy final few minutes in this race for Oscar Piastri. Neither is it going to be for Miney, although he's had a better lap there, pulling away from Pasma, who's sort of slipped back almost into the clutches of Kai Collette now. These 3 drivers, 6th, 7th and 8th. They continue to battle on here at the Yas Marina Circuit. Now fully dark, as you can see. The floodlights do a brilliant job though. A couple of the drivers switching visors to make up for it. They're a lock-up front left for Fernandez. He's 1.2 seconds now behind Smollier, so trying to close up. Under the bridge he goes, making his way out of turn 10. It's long arcing, almost straight, not quite straight. They go down towards turn 11, 12 and 13, another chicane to the final sector. Keeping an eye on the gap between our 2 leaders, 1.3 seconds through the last split it was. There's number 2, Caio Colette, the Brazilian, who's getting back onto terms now with Patrick Pasma for 7th place. They are battling. That might help Miney just to mind his own business, get his head down, get a good lap in here and get away from them for the final few minutes of the race. Under the Yas Hotel they go, through turn 19. Sprinting back then towards turn 20. Piastri leads, Martin second, 1.24 seconds now the gap. Colombo in 3rd, 6 seconds behind them. Smollier in 4th, but only 1.2 seconds clear of Fernandez in 5th. Miney's 6th, just behind him. Pasma in 7th. And then Colette 8th. Deal still 9th. Nannini, the final points at the moment in 10th place, but they're having a good scrap for 9th position as well. Time is going to run out on this lap then, so it'll be one more to go at the end of this lap. So he's going to get maybe a lap to have a go at this, Victor Martins. He's going to get maybe one chance somewhere around the final lap to have a go. Those two have had their comings together, light contact at Hockenheim a couple of weeks ago between the top two in the championship. Martins as well with a move which projected him from 3rd to 1st as well in the first race at Hockenheim. So he's a driver prepared to have a go. There he is, Victor Martins then, fighting for every single point he can try and claw back here. If you start on pole position, you're never happy unless you win the race. So even though he clawed one position back, having slipped to 3rd at one point, he's behind the one driver he didn't want to be finishing behind in this race, Oscar Piastri. Time having run out, they get the one lap added on. So will he get a chance somewhere? He's still not quite close enough as they make their way through. He's pulled positions back and time back on almost every lap, almost every sector, but it's been absolutely marginal. You can see him pushing hard, getting over the curbs there. Not for the first time, Victor Martins, who's giving this 100% as he needs to do. Coming there under the Yas Hotel through 18, through 19. 2 turns to go at the end of this lap. Not close enough to go on the attack yet. Oscar Piastri has not put a wheel wrong yet, has ever. The Australian driving beautifully, driving smoothly, soaking up the pressure somehow sort of staying focused at the head of the field. They come across the grid hatchings and start the final lap of the race. 5.5 kilometres for Oscar Piastri to hang on to this. 5.5 kilometres for Victor Martins to try and find a way through. He's still going to have a chance tomorrow going into the last race of the season, but it is going to be a tall order to claw back that many points. He's going to have to win the race tomorrow. That is a given with this points deficit that he'll now have. He'll have to win the race tomorrow, and he'll have to hope that there are barely any or no points scored by Oscar Piastri. It's the only way it's going to go his way, but while you've got a chance, you've got to still keep believing, still keep putting the pressure on. Having topped all the times all the way through the weekend, topped qualifying, started on pole position. Just that start that has let him down. He's driven beautifully since then, and never say die attitude from Victor Martins. Worked ever so hard to close the gap back up, but I fear he's going to run out of time. Oscar Piastri there, you can almost see him now, he can almost taste the back of that car, but he can't find enough speed to get right into his tail. Gaps sometimes on this lap actually opened up for the first time. Piastri responding. Here he is, home and dry almost, and just got to stay focused now. Not look behind you, just look forwards. On his way, Oscar Piastri, to what will be a 7th victory of the season here. Further back, we'll see in the number 4 car having a lock up there in 12th place. Just outside the points. Battling hard with him though is De Vildo, the winner of the first ever race in these types of cars right at the start of the season at Monza. But Oscar Piastri, a race win, a much needed race win to take the pressure off. The job is not yet done, but he's almost got one hand on the championship trophy now as they come out to turn 20 for the final time in this first race of the weekend. Out of turn 21, he's just got to sprint to the line now. There's the checkered flag, and it's a victory for Oscar Piastri, the championship leader. Victor Martins tried everything to claw it back, but 2nd place he will have to settle for. Lorenzo Colombo completes the podium. He comes home in 3rd place. Smolia under pressure at the end. 4th place for him, though. The Russian hangs onto it from Fernandez. Maini crosses the line in 5th place from Pasma in 6th. Right behind him is Colette in 8th place. And then Cordial 9th. Nannini gets the final point in 10th place. Tejcek has crossed the line in 11th. And then Sauce in the number 4 car through in 12th. After what was a very good battle with Hugo De Vildo 13th. And also the number 51 car of Federico Malvestiti. Those 3 together as they crossed the line in 12th, 13th and 14th positions. although we didn't really see him after his visit to the pits, Leonardo Lorandi at least coming back to finishing 15th place in that one as he crossed the line, gained a place on the last lap ahead of Lucas Aleko Roy in 16th, Frank Bird 17th, Alessio De Leda coming home in 18th place, and classified in 19th. Matthias Leuten, his first ever Formula Renault Eurocup race, and the one driver that we lost early on to bring about that safety car was Javier Lloveras, the Spaniard. But almost all the cars home and safe, and a delighted Oscar Piastri. So he will pick up 25 points. He'll move on to 308 points. 18 points coming to Victor Martins. He'll move on to 287 and a half points. So 20 and a half points between them, with 25 points left on the board. Come what may, only a win can do it now for Victor Martins, and he's still relying on a bad result for Oscar Piastri. As you see, confirmation of the results, provisional results on the screen there. Round 19 of the Formula Renault Eurocup, the first ever race at the Yas Marina Circuit in this championship, and the first time a Formula Renault Eurocup race has been run under the cover of darkness. So real special treat for us to be here. It's a wonderful circuit, which of course is going to be hosting the Formula One Grand Prix, the final round of Formula One in the very near future, just a couple of weeks away now, later on in November, and preparations going on all the way around the circuit. They're busy just tidying things up. Not that it needs, it's still pristine, this circuit, absolutely beautifully presented, but they're just making extra effort to make everything look absolutely perfect here when the Formula One circus comes to town for their championship finale. But our championship finale in the Formula Renault Eurocup is going to go down to the 20th and final race of the season. Oscar Piastri there with the perfect start to the race, and he never let up, did not put a wheel wrong in that race. And you can say the same is true of Victor Martins. Whichever of them wins the championship, they'll know that the other one is their match. There's been nothing between these two all the way through the season. They've both led the championship. But there it says number 1 in front of Oscar Piastri and number 2 in front of Victor Martins. Lorenzo Colombo coming home in what was a fairly lonely third place. He's just about the only driver who didn't have anybody to battle with for most of that race. And now we see, having replaced the steering wheel, the release of joy for Oscar Piastri. He is a race winner once again in the Formula Renault Eurocup. It's his first win since the second race at the Hungaroring. First win in 5. He's been consistently bagging the points, bagging the podiums. One of the most reliable metronomic drivers. Gets the wins when he can, when the opportunity comes, but he's also very, very strong at being consistent, picking up points. So the RHGP squad, who have already sealed their 3rd consecutive teams title, move a step closer to taking another driver's title. Thibaut de Merendon, Silcomp's team, the RHGP squad, the French squad, their Australian race winner there, being consolidated by Lorenzo Colombo. A black and yellow Renault Academy suit is Victor Martins. Head down a little bit, as you can imagine. And an excellent drive by Kush Maini as well, coming home in the end in 6th place. And therefore he'll be making his way to the podium as the winner of the Hankook Trophy, the winner of the rookie category for the 3rd time this season. Kush, to follow on from the class victories he got at Monza in the first weekend of the season and at Spa. So some highlights now of the race while we wait for the drivers to come for interview and podium. It started with the light fading dusk here and a 6 o'clock start time at Yas Marina. Glistening paintwork. Dramas before we started though for Frank Bird, who was pushed off the grid at the start of the formation lap. And this was the moment that was so critical, as off the start line, Oscar Piastri in the number 1 car got the lead away from his championship rival, and then had the added bonus of his rival dropping to 3rd place. This terrific move, 3 abreast here between Poudil and Pasma and Colette. They had a good tussle all the way through the course of the race. Others pushed a bit too hard over the curbs here. Mishmani had a good battle with Sebastian Fernandez through the second half of the race. Those two close to, in fact, they were close together all the way through the race. And in the background, this was a brave move from Patrick Pasma to move ahead of the driver he'd been following for some laps, Omri Cordial. Fernandez, after being patient all the way through, finally made his move to get past Kushmaini and move himself up into 5th place. Victor Martins spent the whole race catching up to his championship rival. He could see him at the end of the race, but he couldn't get in front of him. He didn't get a sniff really, and so cheered over the line to take his 7th win of the season was Oscar Piastri. Celebrations for the drivers that will make their way to the podium. Kushmaini as well as the rookie winner and the Hankook Trophy winner in this first race of the weekend. It's going to be even tougher for them tomorrow, as I say, in terms of the conditions, because they are going to race at lunchtime tomorrow. So really super fit these drivers are as well. Just before the race it happens as well, just before each session starts. They're just getting their eye in with some fitness training. Lots of them have their own personal trainers as well. Renault provide fitness support as well for the drivers. And one of the things they do is get their hand-eye coordination going with lots of ball catching skills as well. So let's hear now from our top 3.
Third, Lorenzo, back on the podium. It's been a long time since the last one.
Yeah, here in Abu Dhabi we have a good pace with MP cars. Victor is pretty fast and I'm too. So yeah, the race was I would say a bit tricky because I just made a really good start. I was trying also to get the cost car and be P1 at the end of the first lap, but then being called for my team, and they said to let Victor by because he had more chances to make the overtakes. And we're going to debrief about that afterwards. But I felt pretty good. P3 back on the podium. I'm pretty happy about it. I need to manage the tires a bit better for tomorrow, and I think the pace is there with them.
Thank you, Lorenzo. Victor. Now is it?
So that was Lorenzo Colombo, first podium since Hungaroring.
Yeah, I did a bad start. I knew after that it was going to be difficult, but I keep my head down. I think it's the way we need to take tomorrow as well. Everything is still to play. So yeah, everything can happen tomorrow. So yeah, it's the championship is not over.
Thank you, Victor. And Oscar. The perfect operation to take a big step towards the title.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, my start actually wasn't that good. I think Victor's must have just been really bad because Lorenzo got a much better start than both of us. But I think that was the most nervous half an hour of my life. So pretty glad that one's over, to be honest. And to come out on top, it's perfect going into tomorrow.
Thank you and congratulations.
So Guillaume Renard with the questions there for our top 3. You heard from, first of all, Lorenzo Colombo, who's got his first podium for 3 weekends now since that 3rd place finish at the Hungaroring. It's his 6th podium of the season. You heard from Victor Martins, who was as honest as ever, said, look, I just got a bad start and I'm going to stay focused. Tomorrow's another day. It's still possible. I'm going to go all guns blazing into that final qualifying session tomorrow morning and the final race of the season tomorrow afternoon, still believing that he can do it, but knowing that he's got to win the race. And then finally you heard from Oscar Piastri, who just confirms what we probably all felt there, no doubt, family and friends and sponsors and supporters watching here at the circuit and watching the live stream, no doubt were even more nervous than Oscar. But what must be going through your mind when you're in that position? It's the position you want to be in, but all the pressure is on you, isn't it? And not just as a driver, he knows what he's doing. That's his office, that race cockpit. He knows exactly what he's doing. But then you start to think, don't you, well, what's going on with the car? You listen to every little rattle. These cars have been super reliable this season. He knows he's with the top team at the moment, the RSGP squad. But, motorsport, it's not always in your hands. But you just got to keep driving, keep your head down, not make any mistakes. And he kept beautifully cool, didn't he, to take that victory. So BRM Watches, one of our sponsors going on. Victor Martins there. Drivers with the Hankook tyres as well. In the background, just catching some water there in the green room, is Kushmaini after his 3rd Hankook Trophy rookie victory, and another top 6 finish as well for Kush. He came into this weekend 6th in the championship, and only 6.5 points behind Lorenzo Colombo. That gap's grown a little bit now, but he has clawed some points back on Ko Colette, 4th in the championship. Well, as I say, Kaio at Tockenheim last time around already having done enough to wrap up the rookie championship for the year. So there is the podium, just above the garages on the pit lane entry here. The raised podium just behind here, just behind this grandstand, this huge grandstand which overlooks the start line from pit side. There's another one on the outside of the circuit. That's where you get the offices and these wonderful villas, and just behind that is where you've got the marina as well, stone's throw from the garages. So the drivers just having a quiet moment here, just looking at the screens as well, just already thinking about data, aren't they? And what was my best sector time, what was my best lap time, where can I find some more pace for tomorrow? We've almost got two setups for the cars here because it's very different under the light, and with the heat having dissipated a little bit when you get these night runs than it is during the heat of the day. So really got to keep adjusting and adapting the cars and working on those setups. Of course, some of the teams have been here before, but with other cars, Arden, for example, have been here with GP3, but different tyres, different types of car. There's only so much use in having that information. From a driver's point of view, as I say, lots of them have been here in UAE Formula 4, so that's useful, but again, it's a very different type of car to drive, so your braking points become different, your turning points become different, so you have to adapt and learn quickly. But that's what these racing drivers do so well. They adapt and learn, and it's a thinking game, this. It's not just about being brave and courageous, it is about thinking your way around the lap, analysing the data. The minute they get out of the car, they have their water, they put a cold towel around their neck, they cool down for 60 seconds maybe, and then they're straight to the back of the garage where the laptops are set up, and they're talking through the data, looking at the sector times, looking at specific corners where they think they can brake less, brake earlier, brake later, all these little tiny details. And it matters because when you get 0.02 of a second, the difference between being on pole position and not being on pole position, any slight advantage you can gain is so important. So it's a never-ending procedure for them, really. Out of the car, they begin the next stage of work, and working with the engineers to develop the cars and work on their driving as much as possible. It's a full-on weekend for these young drivers, but I'll get a bit of rest tonight. It's an earlier start for them tomorrow as well. Very busy day with practice sessions on Friday. Later start today with the 11:30 qualifying. Tomorrow it's 9 o'clock in the morning that qualifying local time. So being brought onto the podium now, our third place driver. The MP Motorsport team, Lorenzo Colombo, the Italian, with his 6th podium finish of the year. Victor Martins will make his way next onto the Yas Marina Circuit podium. 13th podium of the season for him. But the biggest beam of all is going to be upon the face of Oscar Piastri with his 7th visit to the top step of the podium. His 11th podium visit as well. So Oscar Piastri, nice to see the sportsmanship between the three drivers. And a huge welcome onto the podium as well for the winner of the Hankook Trophy. The top rookie in that race, Bushmani, has had a super season in Formula Renault Eurocup, his first year of the championship. So he'll be onto the podium as well, and our winning team represented as well, the RACE GP squad. And now get our race winners' national anthem. Not sure how well that goes down for an Australian, but he races under a British licence, so he gets the British flag, he gets the British national anthem. So the Australian it is that stands on the top step of the podium. So the third place trophy now is awarded. That's Charles Meisterman, the event coordinator for BRM. The championship sponsors. Lorenzo Colombo picks up his trophy. Fatien, the CEO of GP Extreme, who've made this event possible for the Formula Renault Eurocup, presents the second place trophy to Victor Martins. And we'll have Sheikh Khalid bin Fazil Al Kazimi, who is the Abu Dhabi Racing representative, to present the winner's trophy to Oscar Piastri. Huge well done to the look of real satisfaction on his face, as there should be, because that was a hard race to win. All the pressure that was upon him. You also get the Hankook Trophy now. The Hankook Trophy presented to the best rookie. That is Kushmaini. Giulio Rizzo, the Hankook Motorsport Europe marketing manager, that presented that trophy. Present the team trophy. You heard from him on the grid. Tony Boutet, the after-sales director of Renault Middle East Pacific. And RHGP picking up another trophy to try and find some space for in the cabinet, back in the factory, back at base. And taken the team's title for the third time, the Drivers' Championship last year with Max Futrell as well. So the drivers now pose with their trophies on the podium. They'll all shuffle up onto the top step, as close to it as they can. Pose for some more photos for the media here, and for the spectators that are down in the grandstands, down in the pit lane watching this. And that will feel like a huge burden has been lifted from Oscar Piastri. He's still got a job to do. He can't completely relax yet, but he is very much in pole position for this championship. And so it's time for him to open the champagne. Lorenzo Colombo celebrates as well. Slightly more subdued Victor Martins, as you can imagine. But it will go down to the final round of the championship. It's been a great first day of action here at the Yas Marina Circuit. 9 o'clock tomorrow local time, we'll be streaming qualifying, and then the championship decider, the final race of the weekend, the final race of the season at local time, will be underway at 1:30. We'll be on air 10 or 15 minutes before that to talk you through the build-up to round 20 of the Formula Renault Eurocup. From me, Chris Hartley, and the team, thanks very much for watching, and we'll speak to you all again tomorrow for the final race of the season.